So today I'm going to talk about one of the most classic sci-fi games out there, at least as far as space exploration. It's Stellar Conquest from Avalon Hill. The version I have is from their 1984, Avalon Hill version. It initially came out in 1975 with metagaming, I believe. The look of it is definitely kind of 1980s kind of look, and some people may not like that, but for its time it's really good, and I think actually some people might view it as kind of retro now, which is also a good thing. The art conveys the theme. It's well done, and Avalon always does a good job with their art and boxes and components, so not disappointed. It's a bookcase game, so it fits well on the shelf. Here you see various fighters going against like a Envirodome habitation facility, looks like. On the back gives you a bit of theme. Shows you a little sample of what counters are like. Complexity is medium, solitaire suitability is medium. Covers a small part of the Milky Way. 2 to 4 players, average 4 to 6 hours. You're a great captain chosen by your people to lead the search for and conquest of new planets. All weapons in industry have been placed in your hands. The safety of millions of colonists has been made your responsibility. Your decisions will determine whether you and your civilization survive and flourish, or languish behind in the shadow of the others. Stellar Conquest presents heavens to explore and develop. In the beginning, the galaxy is completely unknown to you and your rivals. Each of you command a space fleet consisting primarily of colony transports protected by a small number of warships. In advance are the scout ships to lead the way. They must quickly search and locate planets suitable for habitation. It is important to settle your people as soon as possible, since they will form the basis of your industrial power. Once established, you can begin producing weapons and researching new technologies to support further exploration and migration. Inevitably, you will collide with other civilizations intent upon their own expansion, and then you must be prepared to fight in Stellar Conquest. Strength begets strength, and only by a careful policy of production and expansion can you hope to gain enough planets to ensure the survival of your civilization. So it doesn't tell you like what the civilizations are, like what the alien races are, but they kind of leave it up to the players to kind of get that flavor to it. As far as components, rulebook, it's about 10 pages. Go over that in detail. Mainly black and white, a little bit of blue thrown in there. Looks like a pretty concise description with some examples. Got some kind of player aid cards. These are task force cards. There's 4 of them. Actually, for the time, I think they're really well done. They look almost modern. So there's 4 of them. They're one-sided. Task force are basically fleets, and you define what your fleet is, and you can move your fleets on the board. That's what that is. Also shows you the different research categories, the levels and descriptions of ship speed research, weapons research, technological research, price schedule for buying components, tech table. So some useful aids and 4 of those. There's some record keeping involved. Each player, it comes with a pad of player record sheets, and they're 2-sided. One is obviously the map for plotting out strategies, etc. The other side is a record sheet, keep track of colonies, turn tracker, and then development of the 3 different technologies, of which of course are ship speed, weapons, and technological development. Comes with some well done dice, kind of nice size, kind of sharp edges, and it's a nice addition. These cards are So when you go across and you discover different systems, Then you would uncover these cards and it tells you the different cards correspond to different types of star systems. Blue stars would have a surface, and they kind of go by habitability. So blue stars have a surface temperature of like 50,000 K. The green ones have a surface of 20,000 K. Yellow, like Sol or Sun, surface temperature of 6,000 Kelvin. Orange 5,000 Kelvin, and red 3,500 Kelvin. So the ones more like Sol will be more habitable. And it tells you what orbit it is around the planets are around the sun. The habitability, including the maximum population. And then if it has discussions of resources, for instance, this one's mineral rich. And each of these have the similar kind of information. So counters, good mix of counters. It's 520 counters actually, and they're standard 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. Didn't come with a tray, but there's enough room in the box that you can put a tray in. And as I often do, I used a GM tray that I had to trim the edges off, but there's many different trays you could use, and it's nice, like I said, that there's room in the box for a counter tray. And it's useful because you got a lot of counters there. As you see, there are 4 different colors for 4 different players. Here's all the unique counters, and they're identical between the 4 different colors. So you have the colony transport here, and the numbers on these indicate how many are in a group, so this would be 3 colonies, etc., and they do that for each of the different types. So each colony transport exists to carry 1 million population through space. Once its passengers have debarked on a planet, it disappears. Consequently, whenever a player wishes to transfer population from one planet to another, it must build new colony transports to carry them. They have no combat capability, again, described in the rules here. Scout. These spaceships are used primarily for exploring stars and scouting opposing fleets. They have no combat capability, and they can also travel farther than the others that, like, we'll see. Corvettes. Warship. Corvettes can battle other spaceships and attack colonies. Fighters. Another kind of warship. Fighters are superior to corvettes in combat. Death Star. I'm curious if earlier versions of this had something like that, or this is only after, Star Wars, they started having a Death Star. Death Star, the most powerful kind of warship. Okay. Surprised they don't have a different name for that, because you'd think that the Star Wars franchise might have an issue with that. Actually kind of looks like a Death Star too. And these are the task force markers, or the fleet markers. It's like that'd be the fleet A, and then you'd move that group together. Spaceships moving together, single fleet task force. So you put them on the task force box, and then you move this actual fleet marker around. Command post. Until player is able to develop unlimited ship range, he may not move any of his spaceships except the scouts more than 8 hexes from a command post. The player can place command posts in any star hexes containing his colony's planets. And here's the map board. It's a solid map board. It actually folds. It's one piece with these different folds. It has 6 different sections, but it's one solid piece. Mounted on a board. Another thing Avalon Hill often does well is their boards. The colors probably won't appeal to everyone. They're definitely like 80s, but I mean, if you're kind of into 80s retro stuff, I think you'd probably like it. And these are the star cards that go here. Kind of attack table. The attacker, target, shown here. Price schedules for ships and items. course, it's got numbered hexes superimposed over this. It's a portion of the Milky Way galaxy. And the side size is approximately 1/8 of a light year across. Several stars are, well, the stars have their names, and it's not exactly to scale. It's been a bit abstracted and distorted to support play, so they're not exactly where they are in reality, but kind of get a sense of it. So there's 54 of the hexes containing stars, as you see the yellow, orange, red, green, yellow, blue. And I talked about their different surface temperatures, and closer to yellow, the more habitable they are. Star hexes are important since they signal the possible presence of planets needed for colonization. The game has been designed so that there are higher instances of certain kinds of planets orbiting certain classes of stars than others. For example, a player has the best chance of discovering habitable Terran planets around yellow stars, but has the best chance of finding mineral-rich planets around blue stars. This way the color becomes a very kind of useful guide for exploration and where you should kind of take your chances. Other trends are present in the cards, but you kind of discover that as you go. Gas and dust clouds, shown by these patterns. Every hex that contains part of a gas and dust cloud is considered gas dust cloud and will slow ship movement to the rate of 1 hex per turn. Entry hexes on the corners here, numbered 1 to 4. Of course, they mark the first hexes to be entered by the player's starting fleets when first moving onto the board. Going through the rules here. How to win. Upon completion of turn 44, the game ends and a winner is determined. Each player awards himself 3 points for every Terran planet he controls, and 1 point for every sub-Terran planet he controls. The player with the most points wins. A player is considered in control of a planet if he can comply with any of the following 4 items. He has his colony on the planet. He has a colony on a planet, even if enemy spaceships are in the same star hex. He has conquered another's colony on the planet and has a warship in its star hex. The planet is unoccupied, but he has a starship in the star hex. The planet is unoccupied, but he has another colonized planet in the same star hex, and there are no enemy spaceships there. Minimal Terran and barren planets have no value towards victory. Sequence of play. After all preparations have been completed, the game is ready to start. The players will continue to take their turns in the same order as set up. When a player completes his turn, he should mark his passage on the record sheet. After all players have completed 44 turns, the game ends, and a winner is determined as explained in How to Win. A turn itself is composed of several distinct activities, which must be completed in the order presented. When the player completes his final activity, the turn is over, and the next player then begins his turn. Final note, anything that belongs to a player is friendly, anything that doesn't belong to him is his enemy. Turn sequence of activities. 1. Move any or all spaceships in your force. 2. Explore new stars. Resolve any exploration risk. Discover planets, enemy colonies, and enemy spaceships in the solar systems have successfully explored stars. Resolve combat with all enemy spaceships coexisting in the same star hexes with your spaceships. Resolve any attacks you wish to make against enemy colonies. Debark any colonists you wish onto new planets. 6. Record passage of 1 turn in your record sheet. In the 4th turn, all players will participate in a special production turn. Spaceship movement. In this turn, a player may move as many of his spaceships as he wishes. He's not permitted to jump spaceships over hexes. While moving a spaceship, he can change its direction without cost or penalty. He may move each of his spaceships any number of hexes, up to the limit indicated by his spaceship speed. All spaceships begin with a speed of 2 hexes per turn. Every player can improve the speed of his spaceships. However, by investing in spaceship research, when a player acquires a faster speed, all spaceships are then immediately able to move at the better speed. First turn entry. Each player will need to bring his starting fleet of spaceships onto the map board in his first turn move. He may do so only via the entry hex. A player counts the entry hex as his first hex of movement for each spaceship as it enters the map board. Gas dust cloud. Spaceship may enter a gas dust cloud hex only if it begins its move for the turn in a hex next to the gas dust cloud hex. If it starts further away, it must first move next to it and then wait for the next turn to enter. Once the spaceships enter the gas dust cloud hex, it can move no further that turn. A spaceship can move through gas dust cloud hexes at a reduced speed of just 1 hex per turn. A spaceship leaving a gas dust cloud at the start of its turn may move up to its full speed. Command posts. Spaceships, except for the scouts, are not permitted to move more than 8 hexes from a friendly command post. Any of these spaceships that do move beyond the EX range from a friendly command post are eliminated immediately. Command posts may be placed in any star hex containing a friendly colonized planet. They do not have to be placed on every friendly colonized planet, nor must they be placed on any. However, if a player has no command post on the map board, he must trace his 8-hex route through his entry hex to the board edge. The entry hex must be counted as part of the route. There is considered to be a command post off the map board immediately adjacent to the entry hex. Command posts are not permanent emplacements. If a colony is captured or abandoned, any command post there must be removed. They may be voluntarily removed or switched to other friendly uncolonized planets at any time. Care should be taken where to place command posts, since their placement signals the presence of a colony to one's opponents. Once a player acquires unlimited ship range through research, he is no longer restricted by the command posts and can dispense with them for the rest of the game. Each player cannot use more than the amount provided. Command posts are never limited and can be reused indefinitely. Scouts have no range restrictions and are not tied to command posts. They may travel anywhere on the map board. Ship communications. At the beginning, a player is restricted to directing his spaceships only when they occupy or pass through hex, any star hex. Consequently, each spaceship must be given a specific star hex destination when it enters the board, and each time it is ready to leave a star hex, and that destination cannot be altered while the spaceship is traveling through the hexes which don't contain a star. A player must move each of his spaceships to its destination star hex in a direct manner. He must use a route which will reach the destination star hex in the fewest hexes possible. He may, though, route his spaceships around star hexes in their path in order to avoid combat with any spaceships there. He may also route his spaceship around gas dust cloud hexes to save time, but these are the only exceptions. A spaceship which passes through a star hex when route to its destination may have a new destination star hex selected for it, if so desired. A spaceship may never be given the star hex from which it last departed as a new destination. There has been no approved method provided for recording spaceship destinations. Simply, each player is left to his own devices to decide how he wishes to remember what is heading where. The most obvious method, writing destination down on paper, has proven both tedious and instructing, so is not recommended except perhaps in tournament play. If memory needs a boost, try keeping all spaceships in task force. Using a task force arrowhead on the counter as a pointer towards the destination. Once the player acquires unlimited ship communication through research, he is no longer subject to directing the spaceships toward the stars and can move them instead. However he wishes without restrictions, he is now able to direct his ships from all the hexes on the map board. Spaceship Interaction. Every hex is capable of holding an unlimited number of spaceships. Because of this, players can operate large fleets anywhere on the map board, and enemy spaceships are ignored everywhere outside of the star hexes, as if they weren't there. A player may move his spaceships through these enemy-occupied hexes and even halt their move in them without causing any interaction. Scouting and combat between spaceships can occur only in star hexes. Spaceships in star hexes do exert a presence. Whenever a spaceship enters a star hex already occupied by one or more enemy spaceships, it is forced to end its turn there, thereby losing whatever remains of the move. Later in the turn, combat will determine who will remain there. Many counters representing more than one spaceship have been included to help manage large numbers. A player is limited by his supply of blank pieces to the number of spaceships he can put in the map board. Ships destroyed during the game are returned to the owner's stock, immediately available for use. Task Force. Players are not required always to move their ships individually. Players are also allowed to organize spaceships into groups and move them together as a fleet. This makes moving large forces easier. Task Force markers have been included. It's a convenient method for moving large fleets. They're also useful in disguising the size of space fleets. Anytime during his turn, a player may replace a Task Force marker with one more of his spaceships occupied in the same hex. He puts the spaceships on his Task Force card in the Task Force box. On the map board, Task Force marker represents the move. It moves all spaceships in this box. The player may move his spaceships into or out of his task forces at any time during his move. In forces, secrecy plays an important role. Ideally, each player should operate as an isolated entity, complete ignorance of activities of his opponents. Only by physical investigation should he be able to discover enemy dispositions. Record sheets are never open to inspection. All information recorded therein is private until the game is over. All spaceships on the map board should be kept face down in Task Force. All spaceships Task Force cards should be kept either face down or covered. Players are not required to reveal spaceship destinations. Players reveal their spaceships and colonies only to those who legally discover them during movement or exploration activity. For the sake of convenience, battles should be fought in front of all players, even though third parties are made privy to secret information in the process. For the same reasons, permissible demands of information about spaceships passing through colonies or star hexes should be made allowed, even though the act would reveal the presence of the colony to all. For tournaments, agreement can be reached beforehand to communicate only in writing and resolve both exploration risks and battles in private. The fact that command posts often reveal to one's enemy's destination, enemies' locations otherwise hidden colonies makes their exclusion preferable, if at all possible. It is therefore recommended that the use of outposts be discarded for tournament play. Exploration only after a player has finished moving all spaceships that he wishes to move. In his turn, may start to explore the star hexes. Spaceships conduct the actual explorations. A player explores for 3 reasons: to discover planets, identify enemy spaceships, and to locate enemy colonies. When searching for planets, he needs to explore only those star hexes that he has not already successfully explored. When searching for colonies of spaceships, he is free to explore and re-explore all star hexes. He initiates the exploration of star hexes by moving some spaceships in the hex and stopping it there. Scouts and colony transports, being unarmed vessels, are considered vulnerable to unforeseen dangers each time they search an unexplored star hex for themselves. Therefore, every turn before making any discoveries, a player must roll one die for each and every one of his scouts and colony transports unoccupied by warships and occupying star hexes he has not yet successfully explored for planets. Every time a one is rolled, the scout or colony transport in question is destroyed and removed from the map board. The warships, corvettes, fighters, and Death Stars run no such risk and protect scouts and colony transports from exploratory dangers. After removing losses, the player can then discover planets, enemy colonies, and spaceships, but only in those star hexes that still hold at least one of the spaceships. To discover what planets, if any, are in a star hex, the player draws a star card that matches the color of the star. He must first record the card number on his record sheet map next to the star. This card will be associated with this particular star for this game. He also should record the planet information there too. The player keeps the star card. If the star being explored has already been successfully explored by another, then he naturally would hold a star card associated with that star. In this case, the player does not draw a new card, but rather borrows the correct, records the information, and gives it back. All enemy colonies, spaceships, and star hexes occupied by the player's spaceships must be revealed to him alone. Size of the colony, all its defenses except planet shields and factories are still kept secret at this time. If a factory is a planet shield, that too must be told. A player may not choose not to explore star hexes in order to protect his scouts and colony transports sitting there. Exploration is automatic. Once a star hex has been successfully explored by a player, however, it no longer poses any threat to his scouts and colony transports. All planets discovered orbiting a star are considered in the same hex as the star. Spaceships may not explore the star hexes they pass through during their move. they must stop to explore. Any player may, if he wishes, examine spaceships entering or passing through a star hex occupied by at least one of its colonies. Combat. In his turn, after finishing his exploration, player must attack enemy spaceships occupying the same star hexes as spaceships. He must continue to fight such time that no star hex contains spaceships of more than one player. Combat is fought in battles. Each battle is fought for control of a single star hex. Battles in different star hexes cannot be combined into larger battles. The attacker decides the order in which battles will be fought. At the start of each battle, both participants first inspect the other's spaceships in the contested star hex. In the case where neither participant has any warships in the star hex, only scouts and colony transports, the attacker immediately must retreat all spaceships of the star hex into an adjacent hex of his opponent's choosing. A battle for a star hex consists of an indeterminate number of barrage rounds fought until one side or the other either voluntarily withdraws out of the star hex or is completely eliminated. In each barrage round, each warship simultaneously fires at a pre-selected enemy spaceship. Destroyed spaceships are removed only after all combat fire for the round has been completed. If neither side has been completely eliminated, the attacker may then withdraw some or all of the spaceships to an adjacent hex of his enemy's choosing. If he decides to keep any spaceships in the star hex, the defender is given the same option. If both decide to stay, another barrage round is fought. Barrage fire is resolved in the following way. The attacker selects a target enemy spaceship for each of one of his warships. Then the opponent does the same. The warship may be directed to fire at any enemy spaceship in star hex, even when already targeted for attack by other starship warships of the force. The attacker resolves his combat fire first. He selects one of his warships and cross-indices the type of his target spaceship on the attack table. He then gives him a range of numbers. He then rolls 1 or 2 dice. If the result falls within this range, the target spaceship is destroyed. The attacker repeats step B for every one of his warships until all have had a chance to fire. Then the opponent resolves all of his warships' combat fire, including those just destroyed by attacker's fire in the same way. Only after all warships, both sides have had a chance to fire, are destroyed spaceships removed from play. Ordinarily, a warship can fire only once per round. However, any player who is able to acquire improved ship weaponry for research gains a special bonus in battle. Whenever one of his warships misses its target spaceship, can immediately fire again with the same spaceship one more time. A warship cannot change its target spaceship once the barrage round begins. Players often like to game out several warships against one particular spaceship, thereby improving the chance of destroying it. If, as often happens, a kill is obtained before all the warships have a chance to fire, those that didn't fire lose the opportunity to do so for the rest of the barrage round. A warship is never required to fire the same spaceship it missed in the previous round. It may fire the same or different spaceship. Scouts in colony transports are not warships and cannot attack. They can, however, be attacked. There's an unlikely but possible situation where both sides have eliminated all warships in battle, but still retain scouts. Colonies transports in the same star hex. In this case, the attacker must withdraw all the spaceships of the star hex and into an adjacent hex of the opponent's choosing. It is recommended, but not required, that both players temporarily move their spaceships into an open area of the map board to fight the battle. When a player voluntarily withdraws his spaceships from battle, he can leave some to continue the fight. All ships retreating from the hex must be moved to an adjacent hex of the opponent's choosing. A player can pick just one hex for all his opponent's withdrawals in that battle. Each spaceship withdrawn from battle must be given a new destination if one is required. Spaceships cannot hide on planets. The spaceship is already considered in space and vulnerable to attack. Only colony transports may land on planets and then only safely disembark their passengers, after which they immediately disappear and are returned to the player's stock. Colony attack and conquest. As he proceeds with his turn, a player may, if he wishes, attack enemy colonies occupying the same star hexes with his warships. He cannot begin his attacks attacking colonies until he finishes off those battles against enemy spaceships. Making attacks against colonies is never required. He is always voluntary action. If the player plans to attack more than one enemy colony in different star hexes, he will decide the order of their resolution. He may attack in only one star hex at a time. Only after the player announces an attack against a colony must its owner reveal what missile bases are found thereon. The player then is required to fight at least one barrage round against the colony, if indeed it does have missile defenses. Colonies, once protected by a planet shield, cannot be attacked. They are unconquerable. A colony hex defended by missile bases or a planet shield is conquered immediately without a fight when attacked. If it is defended by a missile base, however, it can be conquered only after all its missile bases have been destroyed. Combat against missile bases is conducted using the same method devised for resolving spaceship combat. To substitute missile bases for defending spaceships, retreats are not allowed in colony combat. Instead, the attacker may call for his attack at the end of any barrage round, if so desires, without penalty. If the attacker is able to destroy all the missile bases of a colony while still keeping at least one warship in the same star hex, he has conquered the colony. The colony remains conquered only as long as he can keep at least one of his warships in that star hex. The defender has the opportunity to destroy any or all of his colony's factories at the end of each barrage round that remains unconquered. He would consider doing this only when the colony is in danger of falling into enemy hands. If there are more than one colony's planet in the contested star hex, the attacker may attack them separately or together, or alternate his attacks at will. Besiege colonies. An unconquered colony is considered to be under siege if at least one enemy warship remains in star hex. Besieged colony may not build any spaceships, neither may it be used as a command post. The besieged colony may build missile bases or a planet shield. It may also build factories. It may contribute towards research. Conquered colonies. Once conquered, a colony immediately comes under the control of its conqueror. The owner must provide the conqueror with all of its population and factory information. The populations of conquered colonies, although now under the control of the new master, will remain loyal to the original owner. The conquered colony cannot produce IPs for the conqueror in the first production turn following its conquest. For all subsequent production turns, however, for as long as it remains under that player's control, it will yield full production to him. A player may not mix his populations with conquered populations. He can make conquered populations migrate to new planets which are empty or contain other conquered colonists of the same color. Wherever they settle, their status as a conquered colony remains the same. When moving conquered populations, appropriately colored transports must be obtained from the original owner. They remain under the conqueror's control as long as he keeps at least one warship with them. Conquered colonies may not build missile bases or planet shield. Conquered colonies may build spaceships for the conqueror. They may also contribute towards conqueror's technology research. Conquered populations cannot increase in number, nor are they allowed the population bonus. Their numbers must remain the same. Whenever a hex containing a conquered colony or conquered colony transports is abandoned by all of the conqueror's warships for whatever reason, the conquered colony or transports revert back to the control of the original owner. The colony is no longer considered conquered and may begin producing for him in the very next production turn. Another player can wrest control of a conquered colony by displacing the guarding warships in the star hex with at least one of its own. He becomes a new conqueror and must also wait one production turn before he can begin to use the colony's IPs. He cannot take control of enemy colony transports, but only attack them instead. A conquered colony, or any colony for that matter, emptied of all its population is considered abandoned, and a new colony may be started on the same planet by any player. All factories left on abandoned colonies are considered destroyed. A player is permitted to destroy any or all of the factories in any or all of its conquered colonies at any time during its turn. A player is also permitted to destroy conquered populations at any time during its colony attack. activity, including the turn of Conquest. Each warship that remains in the colony of Starhex after Conquest may remove population at the following rates. Each corvette can destroy 1 million population per turn. Each ferret can destroy 3 million population per turn. Each test star can destroy up to 5 million population per turn. If a colony of at least 10 million population is completely destroyed by opponents' warships, this planet becomes permanently devastated and rendered uninhabitable for the remainder of the game. This planet can no longer count towards a winning score. Colonizing planets. After completing all attacks in his turn, a player may debark as many passengers from his fighting colony transports onto planets as he wishes. These populations may be placed on uninhabited planets to start new colonies, or on planets with friendly colonies to increase their size. They may not be placed on planets holding enemy colonies. A colony transport may debark its passengers only onto a planet in the star it occupies. A player cannot start colonies on barren planets until he acquires controlled environment technology. Even then, only the colony transports built during or after the acquisition of CET may debark colonists onto barren planets. Those in use at the time are excluded because they were already sent to space before CET could be installed. Each time a player starts a new colony, he should make a note of its host planet, its population, and player record sheet. While a colony remains in existence, this record should be maintained to indicate new gains and losses in population, factories, and missile hexes. A player is permitted to have as many colonies as he is willing and able to start. If he runs out of space in his record sheet, he is allowed to continue his record at a new one. Only one colony may exist on a planet at a time. It must be emptied of all its population before another colony may be placed there. A colony may never have more population than is on the planet's capacity. Any excess found or put thereon is eliminated at the end of the turn. Colony transports. Population is counted in millions, cannot be further divided. Each colony transport is able to carry just 1 million population. Once a colony transport's passengers have been debarked onto a planet, it must be removed from play. Every time a player wishes to move any of his population from one planet to the other, he must build new colony transports in that planet's hex to carry them. The population is automatically loaded onto the colony transports. A player must use colony transports even when he wishes to transfer population from one planet to another in the same hex. As in the case of all construction, colony transports may be built only during a production turn. Consequently, these are times that a player can prepare his populations for movement. He cannot build colony transports between production turns. Colony transports are never required to debark with passengers and can stay in space for the entire game if so desired. Whenever the colony transport is destroyed, either by expedition combat, its 1 million passengers die with it. Production turn. At the conclusion of every complete fourth turn, after all players have taken their fourth, eighth, etc. turns, special production turn is inserted. At this time, all players simultaneously calculate the production growth for each of their colonies during the last 4-turn period. They then uses industrial output to buy new equipment, to invest in research. They also prepare population for immigrations. All this is done in secret. Each colony must be treated as a distinct production unit. A player must complete all the growth, industrial, and immigration activities of one colony before he can proceed to those of another. All colonies contribute to their size production, even those started in the previous turn. There are a total of 10 production turns in the game. The one which would normally follow turn 44 is ignored, and a winner is determined instead. The production turn activities of each and every colony are conducted in a step-by-step sequence as outlined below. Determine population growth, calculate the number of IPs produced by the colony, build colony transports for immigration, spend IPs on equipment research. Population growth. 1 million population is gained for every 5 million population present on Terran planet. 1 million is gained for every 10 million population on Subterra. No population is increased and is allowed on minimal Terran or barren planets. The colony's population can never See its host planet's capacity. Any excess must be placed on colony transports to emigrate elsewhere or be eliminated at the end of the production turn. Industrial output. A simple formula is utilized to calculate the IP output for the colony as follows. Each 1 million population in the colony, including population growth, provides one IP for each factory thereon, and each factory thereon produces one IP. Colonies on mineral-rich planets double the total amount of industrial output. Emigration. Any or all inhabitants of a colony, including those just gained, can be moved off a planet. Each 1 million population to be moved requires one colony transport to carry them, built to the cost of one IP from the colony's output. When placed in the colony star hex, the colony transport is considered to be automatically loaded with 1 million population from the colony. The colony is able to generate additional population, termed a population bonus, above its normal population growth depending on the size of its immigration. The population bonus is determined in the following manner. The colony's bonus limit is first calculated if it is the sum of the population growth for the entire turn plus 3 million population. For every 3 million population placed in colony transports up to its bonus limit, an additional 1 million population is gained. This population bonus must also be emigrated to be kept. They cannot remain with the colony. Colony transports must be purchased by the colony to carry them. Population bonus not emigrated is lost instead. Emigrants must be moved to a different planet. They cannot be returned by the same planet later to the same colony. Industrial expenditures. A colony can use whatever IPs it has remaining after any colony transports purchases to buy new spaceships, factories, and fences, and to invest in technological research. Prices for equipment are provided on the price schedule. Technological costs are found in the research tables. The colony owner must use the IPs as he sees fit. A colony cannot combine with other colonies to buy the items it could not afford on its own. Any number of colonies may contribute toward the same technological research. Most items cannot be bought until a colony's owner has acquired the technology needed to build them. In the very first production phase, only colony transports, scouts, and corvettes can be purchased. A new technology can be paid for in one production turn or over several production turns. A player is allowed to use a technology in the same production turn as acquired. Each time a player invests in new technology, he should make a note of it on his record sheet. He is able then to maintain a running total of the IPs put toward newly built spaceships are placed in the producing colony star hex. Players should update the colony records to reflect the purchases of factories, missile bases, and planet shields. Colony may hold any number of missile bases. Technology. Technology is divided into 3 distinct classes: ship speed, weapons, and pure technology. A player may not invest in a second level technology until he's purchased at least one of the first level technologies of the same class. He may not invest in a third level technology until he's purchased at least one of the second level technologies of the same class. Examination of the research tables reveals that many of the technologies have 2 prices. A player may use the lower price only if he already owns the prerequisite technology mentioned. A player who acquires the technology to build a certain item does not buy that item itself, just the ability to buy it. As an optional rule, consider letting missile bases use improved ship weaponry along with the warships. Optional victory scenarios. The game may be extended by common consensus to any length, though, if the outcome is still in doubt after 80 turns, it's likely that a stalemate is occurred. Though the player scoring the most points is considered the winner, the game is essentially a standoff if any other player has scored at least 80% as many points as the winner. Then a discussion about the general magazine. Example, player record sheets, how it's filled out. Example, map. Credits, designer Howard Thompson, and the rest of the group. So here's setup. First of all, putting the star cards on the appropriate spot on the board. Of the 4 players, put them each at a different entry. I have yellow going to 2, red to 3, green to 4, and blue to 1. Then everybody gets a task card and record sheet. So everybody starts with a starting fleet of 4 scouts, 4 corvettes, and 35 colony transports. And then each player receives a bonus 25 industrial points. You can use initial investment in research and purchasing spaceships to add a starting fleet. You may buy or invest following items only: scout and corvette spaceships and level 1 items available from any of the 3 research charts. As long as it keeps within this list, he can use his bonus IPs as he wishes and can divide them among items. So what I did is, yellow is going to, the research costs are on these tables here. Yellow chose to spend 15 research points on ship speed development, so he can go 3 hexes. And then he has 10 remaining. And on the 10 remaining, when you buy 2 scouts, it's 5. So he bought 4 scouts. And then he put several, this is the entry point where he's going in. So he's got 4 scouts that are going to go individually. That'd be, all of them have scouts going individually because it seems like a good idea since they can go further from the command base. And then the rest are 4 task forces. And then in his fleet he has the 35 colony ships and 4 corvettes distributed among, he's got 4 different task forces or fleets. And his other scouts, he has 1 going each with 3 of those. I thought it'd be, in general, I thought it'd be a good idea to have the corvettes go with fleets. I did that for all the players. So that's the setup for yellow. And then I indicate which one is which by, I have a command marker on there to show which color. But and then red. Red chose to get the technology of controlled environment technology. Cost 25. So we got that. And then he sticks with the initial fleet of 4 scouts, 4 corvette, and 35 colonies. So he also distributed that among 4 task forces or fleets, each with a colony, each with a corvette protecting it, 1 with a scout. And then he also has a few, he's got the fleets obviously going to enter, and then he has a few scouts also going separate. Green chose to go with the weapons development of missile base, which costs 25. So we got that. And then he goes with his initial fleet of 4 scouts, 4 corvettes, and 35 colonies. And again, he also distributed that among 4 fleets. Corvette going with each fleet, and then the scout with 1. And he has some individual scouts coming in as well. And then finally, blue decided he's working towards the technology of fighter, but he needs 35 for that. So he paid 25 towards that. So he doesn't quite get that yet, but he's put investment in it. And then his remaining 4 scouts, 4 corvettes, and 35 colonies are distributed also among 4 task forces with a corvette with each of them, scout with 1, and then 3 scouts going individually in. So that's set up. Then we'll just do the first turn. Yellow is the only one that can move 3. All the rest move 2 because they invested in ship speed development. So he'll be kind of moving his fleets around. He's got a fleet, and they have to, going to the entry point counts as a spot. So 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, or 1 going here. So 3. All the rest can move 2. So they'll move in this and such. And blue. And then we'll get into some more play. I'm turn 7 here and go through, and here's blue's turn. So far they've explored 5 different systems, and so the map is to show, you know, where these different systems are in the corresponding card. So they got a orange, which is pure Terran with 6 million possible population, and a sub-Terran with 20 million. And then red star at 69 right here. It's got a Terran max population of 60, and they also have a command base there right now. 69 is a Baron with 10 million and sub-Terran of 40. They don't have CST technology, so they can't do the Baron. That's right here. 29, right here, is a Terran with max population of 60 million. 76, unfortunately, had no usable planets. And then 25, which they recently discovered, which also has a command post on it, has a Terran maximum population of 80 million. So the total population currently, they have, on 29, they have 12. On planet, there's only one orbit planet. 69, they have 7 on the sub-Terran planet. 45, they have 3 on orbit 2, the Terran, and 2 on orbit 3 with 20 million max. 25, they just got there, but they have 2 million there currently. And their technology, currently they're paying for the fighter technology, but have only paid 25. First of all, move the units, and they can move 2 to move their fleet. When you play multiplayer against others, you're supposed to hide your forces, but for me, I just have most things in fleets, and then I just turn to turn, I pretend I don't remember what's in the fleet, basically. So he'll go over here, he can move 2. A couple colony ships they just recently produced, and they'll move up here, they'll add some colonies there. This fleet, he's moving to a gas cloud. He can only move 1 there, so we'll go there. He'll proceed up, do more exploring. And he'll move over to do a little more exploring too. He's got a command post there. They can move within 8 of the command posts. So, exploring then. First we'll check out here. B's out a yellow star. Draws a card. It's got a sub-Terran of 6 million max and a Baron of 10 million max, mineral rich. So we'll mark that down in his map. So 41. Perry's got a blue, so we'll check that out. They often can be mineral rich. It is mineral rich, it's barren though. Mark that down. And there's no other exploring going on. Next, resolve any combat. There's no combat against spaceships. Resolve any attacks against colonies. There's no attack against colonies. Debark colonists. Fleet B has 5 colonists. I found I like to keep some in there because they want to keep moving out. So he'll put 2 down. So that is 41. He'll put 2 in orbit 4 on the sub-Terran. Up here, it's got 2 colonies there. And that's on planet 69. So he'll put 2 in orbit 4 in the Subterran. He already had 7 there, so I'll add 2 to that. And take those colonies off. And then A, on the blue planet, it's only barren, so we can't debark any because he doesn't have the technology of CST. So that's blue's turn. Yellow's turn. Yellow has explored many worlds, as you can see here. So yellow has a technology of going 3 hexes for movement, so they've been able to expand out more. They've explored many worlds and they've dropped out their colonies, so their ones on the edge don't have any colony ships because they've already dropped their colonies, but they have been producing more in the last production turn. So what they have is, this has barren 10 million, minimal Terran 40, has Terran with 80 million, Subterran with 40 million, barren 20 million, mineral rich, Terran with 80 million, Subterran with 40, Terran with 40 million, minimal Terran with 10, minimal Terran 10, minimal Terran 40 million, mineral rich, barren of 20 million, barren of 10 million, minimal Terran of 10 million, no usable planets, Terran with 80 million, and minimal Terran with 20 million. So they got a lot of planets. As far as their resources, they have several across. They had some population growth the last production turn. They have 11 population, 78, 11, and 77, 6 on Terran with 8 million, 28, 5 on 72, 6 on 46, 1 in a minimal Terran, and 2 on minimal Terran mineral rich on 9, 20 on 24. They have 4 on Terran, 3 on Subterran. 23, it's barren. They don't have the technology for that yet. 67, minimal Terran. They don't have any there yet because they ran out of colonists to put there. 43, they have 5 on the Terran, and then 2 doesn't have planets. As far as their movement, they can move 3. He'll move out here to further explore. He'll keep the colony there, but he's gonna move out to explore more. When you leave, you can only move 1 in a dust cloud, but you can move your max when you go out. Actually, on this one, he'll explore the scout, but he'll keep his fleet B there, has a Corvette, and it looks like he's going to be needing that maybe over here, so he's going to move that over here. Here. And then he'll move this scout away. And there's no habitable planets here, so he's going to move the scout away. And this has a Corvette in it. Start moving that up there. And move one of these colonies over here. And then there's no combat in this turn for yellow. So disembarking. Their options are on 72, 23, and 9. On 72, they have 10 colonies. They'll be putting 5 more there, so they'll max out what they can do there. And then they'll still have 5 left. 23, they have 6 colonies. It's got 20 max. It's barren though, so they can't put him there. They have to move those on to the next turn, or get that technology. As far as 9, they have 3 there. They'll put them all on orbit 5, which is mineral rich. That's the end of Yellow's turn. The planets the systems that Red has explored: a minimal Terran, 10 million, a minimal Terran with 20 million, Baron with 10 million. And he has CET technology, so he'll be able to put populations on the barren planets. Sub-Terran 40 million, Sub-Terran 40 million, Baron 10 million. Minimal Terran 10 million. And minimal Terran 40 million, Baron 20 million, mineral rich. So that's what he has as far as his resources on those. 44, he's got 11 population in orbit 2, which is Sub-Terran, 10 in orbit 3, which is Sub-Terran, and then he has 5 million on the Baron in orbit 5. 27, he's got 5 in a minimal Terran. 71, he's got 11 million on the minimal Terran. 68, he's got 5 million on the minimal Terran. 66, he's got 2 million on the Sub-Terran. As far as his movement, he can move 2. He'll be moving these in the dust cloud. He's just got a couple of scouts here, so we'll do that. He wants to keep them out of kind of harm's way, I guess. Here he has a Corvette. Well, he's got a couple Corvettes here. And he's going to go... There's going to be some comic going on in this world. He's going to move in there. And then also here, he's going to move... Got some colonies here as well. We're moving a couple of the colonies over here, and then he's got a Corvette here also, so he's going to send this Corvette and the colony into here in case he wins this battle, so we can have his colony ship there. So the ones that were previously here, he's going to send these into the dust cloud. And he's got a variety of colonies and Corvettes and scouts here, so he's going to send these out here, and he'll put a command post here because he's gotten on the edge of how far he can go. So that's all his movement. And then combat will happen right here. So we'll take these off and set them up. Yellow's B, they just have a Corvette and a scout in there. Only the Corvettes can do battle. So combat is pretty straightforward. His 3 Corvettes are going to be targeting that Corvette, and that Corvette will be targeting that Corvette. And it's simultaneous. This is a attack table here. So Corvette to Corvette, you roll 1 dice, and if it's a 1, you destroy it. If not, you don't. So you'll go. Nope. Nope. Yes, so he destroys that Corvette, but that Corvette will get a shot as well. And he also takes one out, so he was fortunate. Those are both removed. There are no more warships left for Yellow, so Red wins the battle. Yellow has to retreat, but Red gets to tell them where to go. And now they have 2 Corvettes and a colony ship there. Since Yellow has no missile bases, the colony is automatically conquered. So Red will indicate that he now has that. I'll just circle it to show that they're yellow colonists, and I'll just scratch it off from 43, but he gets all the information. And then he has the option of destroying yellow colonists there, but he's not going to do that. And he can't get production from them this turn. Also, he cannot mix colonies, so he can't put his colonists there since there's already some there of yellow. But he will embark some on blue here, which is, first he'll explore it, and it is a Baron with 10 million and minimal Terran with 20 and minimal rich. Technically you're supposed to explore before you do combat, but that didn't affect anything, so I did it that way. He's got 5 colonists there, so he'll put them down on the minimal Terran, mineral rich. And that completes his turn. Then Green's turn. They don't have too many planets. Coming at this entry point, there weren't many in red around there, so he's kind of limited. But he does have a Terran with 60 million max, a minimal Terran with 40 million max, Baron with 20 million, a Terran with 60 million max, and then a Terran with 60 million max, minimal Terran 10 million, Baron 20 million. As far as resources, he's got 6 million in orbit 5 of 26, 11 million in the minimal Terran, 76. On orbit 4, which is Terran, he's got 10 million and 12, and 42, which is Terran, he's got 7 million. And then his technology is missile base. As far as his movement, he's gonna keep his fleet there that's got a Corvette, but he'll do some exploring. He'll go over here to do exploring. He'll move into a dust cloud here to check that out. Move over here to check this out. Move out and explore here. Snow combat. First of all, he'll explore. Check out this planet. Sub-Terran of 60 and Baron of 10 million mineral rich. Then he'll check out the dust cloud here. Minimal Terran 20 million, Baron 20 million mineral rich. Or disembark colonists. He'll put 3 on 47 on the sub-Terran. And then on 7, which is minimal Terran, he'll put 5 colonies there. That's the end of that turn. Then we go to another complete turn. And this is the 8th turn, so at the end of this one there'll be production. First of all, blue will go. They'll do more exploring. He'll move out to explore. That's a barren planet, so he can't do anything there. He'll move out. Some colonies in here. He'll move out. Some colonies in there, so he'll go there as well. So he'll explore the green one. Minimal Terran 40 million. There's no combat. Disembarking colonies. He has, in that fleet, he's got 2 colonies, so he'll put those both on and then remove them from the fleet. One orbit, so. It's blue's turn. Then yellow. They'll be moving here. Check that out. He'll move out of the dust cloud here. He can only move one of the dust clouds, so he'll go that way. He'll move these over here. He's got a Corvette here. He's going to go here. Attack that world. He'll come up as well. Move over here. Move these up. So as far as combat here then, he only has 1 Corvette in that. But we'll set the Corvette. versus... And has some scouts in there, so we'll see what happens. When the Corvette battles, he'll attack. He needs a 1 to hit. Misses. Then Defender goes. He gets him. So his Corvette's removed. He maintains ownership of that. And then again, these will have to retreat. He tells them to retreat there. As far as disembarking troop colonies, he'll explore here. Ideally, I would have done this before combat again, but since it's over here, it doesn't matter. Since the colonies aren't accompanied by warships, there's a chance they'll be destroyed when they do the exploration. You have to do 1 for each colony, and my assumption is that it's not 1 for each group, it's 1 for each colony. So if it's the one that's destroyed, no. There are 4 of them, and none of them were destroyed. So we see what's there. Disembarking colonies, he'll put 3 there. And that's the only place he's putting colonies. Red then, we'll move up here. And then he'll discover that it's not habitable based on what yellow has shown. He'll move his colony off of here. And then he'll move his ships over here to populate this. Then he'll check out what this is. So, exploration. Again, he'll disembark colonists here. 3. So he has, since he has a CET technology, he's able to put them on the barren world there. So he'll put 3 there. You'll see what this world is. Terran of 80 million and barren of 10. He's got 1 colony there, so he'll put that on the Terran. Then Green Star. Then move up here to check this out. Move over here to check this out. Then he'll move up here as well. He doesn't have any colonies in here. He'll stay there to kind of defend that. Then he'll back these guys off. And then exploration. To explore this world, which is a red, it's a sub-Terran of 40 million, and they'll record that here. Another exploration, no combat. They'll disembark colonies. They don't have any colonies in D, so they won't go there. So the only place to disembark is here. And they have a total of 8 colonies. They'll have 3 go to the sub-Terran. They'll remove those from the fleet here. That completes that turn, and that is one of the every 4th turns. It's turn 8. So now it goes into the production turn. Look at population growth. First of all, for yellow, 1 million population is gained for every 5 million on a Terran, 1 for every 10 million on a sub-Terran, and none for a minimal Terran or barren. On their worlds, they have 78 is orbit 3 is minimal Terran, so they don't get any growth there. 77 sub-Terran, so they get 1 more there because they have 10. 72 barren and minimal Terran, so no growth there. 46 Terran and minimal Terran, so you get 1 for every 5 there. 9 is minimal Terran, both of them, so none there. 24 is Terran and Sub-Terran. Got one more there. Need 1 in 10 for the Sub-Terran though. 43 is owned by the Red now. I'm assuming there's still population growth there. Terran. 49. Baron. Sub-Terran. Need 10 there, so it doesn't. That's what they have. And then industrial output. For each 1 million population, including population growth, each factory, you get 1 IP. If they're mineral rich, you double them. This one's mineral rich. So that's the only mineral rich they have. So production is local, and the cost, the price schedule is shown there. So I'm distributing their IP points for yellow. At 78, I got a Scout and a Corvette. Corvette is 8 IP and an individual Scout is 3. At 77, I have Corvette and 4 Colonies. At 28, got a Colony and a couple Scouts. If you get 2 Scouts, it's 2. It's 5. 72, Scout and a couple Colonies, and 46, 10 Colonies. Then the rest I have to, for 25 points, I'm going to invest that to buy CET technology, Controlled Environment Technology, beside that now. So that's an overview of Stellar Conquest from Avalon Hill from 1975, and my version's from 1984. It's one of the first space exploration 4X games, and I found it quite enjoyable. It doesn't have a lot of if you're looking for all sorts of different variations of technologies and planets, etc., you may not like it, but it doesn't try to accomplish all that. It provides a good strategic game with enough variations and subtleties and strategies that it's quite enjoyable. There's some bookkeeping, but compared to other games of the era, I don't think it's too bad. Components, not everybody would like the components either, because the colors kind of basic and everything. But if you view it as product of its time and kind of these days you can kind of view it as a retro game, I guess. I thought it was good in that it tied in with the time well. It's got a lot going for it, a lot of replayability. I thought it played fairly straightforward. The battle's fairly quick and deadly. So a lot of it is exploring and kind of figuring out where you're going to play your resources, etc. But it's got enough of the individual factors to make it worthwhile, I think. And I definitely want to give it bonus points for being one of the first. So I'd recommend it. I'll play it again. I'd give a 8 out of 10. Thanks a lot.